Hello everyone. Today I am going to discuss about the topic vulnerable groups and human rights. There are particular group of people who for various reasons are weak and vulnerable or have traditionally been victims of violations and consequently require special protection for the equal and effective enjoyment of their human rights. The aim of human rights instrument is the protection of those vulnerable against the violations of their fundamental human rights. Often, human rights instruments set out additional guarantees for persons belonging to these groups. The Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights has repeatedly stressed that the International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights is a vehicle for the protection of vulnerable groups within society, requiring states to extend special protective measures to them and ensure some degree of priority consideration even in the face of severe resource constraints. We can broadly classify groups that are especially vulnerable to abuse of human rights into groups that are structurally discriminated against, like women, and groups that have difficulties in defending themselves and are therefore in need of special protection, like child, disabled persons, tribals, and indigenous people, aged, and minorities. As I have discussed about the rights of women, child, and disabled persons under the topic vulnerable groups in my previous PowerPoint presentation, in this video I am going to discuss about the rights of tribals and indigenous persons, aged people, and minorities. The first topic is human rights law relating to the rights of tribal people. Indigenous and tribal peoples are often known by national terms such as Native peoples, Aboriginal peoples, First Nations, Adivasi, Janajati, hunter-gatherers, or hill tribes. Tribal peoples form a major segment of the world population. They are found all over the world. Indigenous and tribal peoples is a common denominator for more than 370 million people found in more than 70 countries worldwide. Indigenous and tribal people have their own cultures, languages, customs, and institutions which distinguishes them from other parts of the societies in which they find themselves. The ILO has been engaged with indigenous and tribal peoples issues since the 1920s. It is responsible for the Indigenous and Tribal Peoples Convention 1989, number 169, the only international treaty open for ratification that deals exclusively with the rights of these peoples. The Indigenous and Tribal Peoples Convention 1989 consists of 10 parts and 44 articles. Article 1 provides to whom this convention applies. This convention applies to tribal peoples in independent countries whose social, cultural, and economic conditions distinguish them from other sections of the national community and whose status is regulated wholly or partially by their own customs or traditions or by special laws or regulations. And this convention applies to peoples in independent countries who are regarded as indigenous on account of their descent from population which inhabited the country or a geographical region to which the country belongs at the time of conquest or colonization or the establishment of present state boundaries, and who, irrespective of their legal status, retain some or all of their own social, economic, cultural, and political institutions. The convention recognizes the aspirations of indigenous peoples to exercise control over their own institutions, ways of life, and economic development, and to maintain and develop their identities, languages, and religions within the framework of the states in which they live. The convention guarantees indigenous peoples the right to participate in decision making on activities that may impact their own societies and territories, such as natural resource extraction, while maintaining the integrity of their societies, territories, and cultures. The convention further recognizes the right of indigenous people to prioritize their own developmental needs. The convention calls upon the government to uphold these rights and to recognize indigenous peoples' unique historical and socio-economic position within the state and their integral connection to their territories, and protects them against displacement. The convention further guarantees the rights of indigenous people to equal and fair employment opportunities, right to health, right to education, including education in one's own language. This convention also paved the way for the development of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Both advocate for the rights and respect of indigenous peoples, but an important distinction is that ILO is a legally binding document. Since 1989, only 23 countries have ratified the treaty, and ILO 169 continues to hold those governments accountable for violations. Our next topic for discussion is older people under vulnerable groups. Identifying vulnerable older people and understanding the causes and consequences of their vulnerability is of human concern and an essential task of social policy. Vulnerability in old age has mainly been approached by identifying high-risk groups like the poor, childless, frail, or isolated. Older persons are not homogeneous group, and the challenges they face in the protection or enjoyment of their human rights vary greatly. Multiple discrimination appears as an essential component of any analysis, particularly when considering that age-related discrimination is if often compounded by other grounds of discrimination such as sex, socio-economic status, ethnicity, or health status. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights strives to ensure that neglected population groups are given space and weight in the human rights agenda, and that governments take all measures required to protect and promote their human rights. Now, let us discuss about the provisions of human rights law ensuring the human rights of aged persons. Human rights are universal in nature. By virtue of being human, every human being is entitled to some basic rights regardless of their sex, age, religion, disability, and other distinctions. Thus, the human rights of all people, including older persons, are impliedly protected in the Bill of Rights. Even though Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a declaration, but it is generally considered customary law and thus it is legally binding. Article 25 of the UDHR states that everyone has the right to security and a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of himself and his family. The two covenants, that is, International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights and International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, offer generic protection of cultural, economic, social, civil, and political rights. For older persons, important specific rights in the International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights are the work-related rights under Article 6 and 7, and the rights to social security under Article 9, and to an adequate standard of living under Article 11, and right to education under Article 13, and right to the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health under Article 12. The International Covenant on Economic, Social, Cultural Right itself does not contain any direct reference to older persons. In 1995, the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights released general comment on the economic, social, cultural rights of older persons. Non-discrimination in economic, social and cultural rights holds that Age is a prohibited ground of discrimination in several contexts. Even though there is no international convention which exclusively deals with the rights of the older people, there are some human rights instruments which ensures right to all without any discrimination. In the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, participation rights of special concern for older persons are the commitment of states to ensure freedom of expression, assembly and association under Article 18, 19 and 21. Article 25 recognizes the right of all to participate in the affairs of their own country. Article 26 states all persons are equal before the law and are entitled without any discrimination to the equal protection of the law. This article includes race, color, sex, language, religion, origin, or other status as prohibited grounds of discrimination. Even though age is not mentioned explicitly, yet might be said to be included in the expression other status. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women mentions age in Article 11 in context of the equal rights of women and men to social security and paid leave. The Convention on the Protection of the Rights of Migrant Workers and the members of their families includes age in the list of prohibited grounds of discrimination under Article 7. It is very much needed that a new international convention on the rights of the older people should be enacted, and is the most effective way to make sure that all people enjoy their human rights in older age and on equal basis with others. With a new UN convention and the assistance of a special rapporteur, governments can have an explicit legal framework, guidance and support that would enable them to ensure that older people's rights are realized. Our next topic for discussion under vulnerable groups are minorities. The most vulnerable persons in need of protection are minorities. In one or other way, they distinguish themselves from the rest of the society by means of language, religion, ethnicity, and culture. Throughout the history, minorities have suffered at the hands of oppressive majorities, enduring discriminations, land seizures, expulsion, forced assimilation, and even genocide, and active repression by governments aiming at cultural unity has often resulted in loss of identity and culture. One of the difficult challenges governments face in an increasingly homogenized world is to strike a balance between legitimate concerns of marginalized minorities and those of the ruling majority. After Second World War, increasing emphasis on democracy and human rights has led to greater attention to the protection of the rights of minorities. Now, let us discuss about the human right law that deals with the rights of minorities. Generally, minority groups are recognized to include national, ethnic, cultural, linguistic, and religious minorities, as well as some migrants, refugees, and indigenous and tribal peoples. It is also important to consider that minorities are likely to be discriminated against or marginalized. That's why the protection of the rights of the minorities becomes the matter of concern. The United Nations Minorities Declaration in its Article 1 refers to minorities as based on national or ethnic, cultural, religious and linguistic identity and provides that states should protect their existence. There is no internationally agreed definition as to which groups constitute minorities. Declaration on the Rights of Persons Belonging to National or Ethnic, Religious and Linguistic Minorities was adopted by General Assembly on 18th December 1992. The declaration consists of 9 articles. Article 1 provides that states shall protect the existence and the national or ethnic, cultural, religious, and linguistic identity of minorities within their respective territories and shall encourage conditions for the promotion of that identity. States shall adopt appropriate legislative and other measures to achieve those ends. Article 2 provides right to enjoy their own culture, to profess and practice their own religion, and to use their own language in private and in public, and right to participate effectively in cultural, religious, social, economic, and public life, then right to participate effectively in decisions which affect them on the national and regional levels, and right to establish and maintain their own association, right to establish and maintain peaceful contact with other members of their groups and with persons belonging to other minorities, both within their own country and across state borders. Article 3 provides freedom to exercise their rights individually as well as in community with other members of their group without discrimination. Article 4 provides that states are to protect and promote the rights of persons belonging to minorities by taking measures to ensure that they may exercise fully and effectively all their human rights and fundamental freedoms without any discrimination and in full equality before the law. States should create favorable conditions to enable them to express their characteristics and to develop their culture, language, religion, tradition, and customs, and allow them adequate opportunities to learn their mother tongue or to have instruction in their mother tongue. Under Article 4, states should, wherever appropriate, take measures in the field of education in order to encourage knowledge of the history, traditions, language, and culture of the minorities existing within their territory. Persons belonging to minorities should have adequate opportunities to gain knowledge of the society as a whole. States should consider appropriate measures so that persons belonging to minorities may participate fully in the economic progress and development in their country. Under Article 5, national policies and programs shall be planned and implemented with due regard for the legitimate interests of persons belonging to minorities. Article 6 provides that states should cooperate on questions relating to persons belonging to minorities. Article 7 provides that states should cooperate in order to promote respect for the rights set forth in the present declaration. Article 8 provides for the fulfillment of the obligations and commitments states have assumed under international treaties and agreements to which they are parties. Article 9 provides that the specialized agencies and other organizations of the United Nations system shall contribute to the full realization of the rights and principles set forth in the present declaration within their respective fields of competence. By this, we come to the end of the topic Vulnerable Groups and Human Rights. Thank you.